Are you looking to make some super cute Halloween decorations on a super tight budget? Well, stay tuned. Hi, my name is Leslie and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today I have for you 5 adorable Halloween decor ideas that you can make using mostly recycled items, upcycled items, or scrap items. Now don't forget to stick around until the very end. I'll have a hint on one of next week's projects. So let's get started. Let's take a quick sneak peek into all 5 of today's projects. Check them out. I'm so excited. And that will bring us to project number 1. This one is a super simple, quick and easy. Anybody can make it kind of DIY. So we're going to take this leftover bottle and I am going to measure it because I'm going to use my Cricut Joy to create our decals today. Now, if you don't have a Cricut or a cutting machine of any kind, then you could just use sticky letters that you can buy at Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby or Michael's or wherever you get your craft supplies from, and you can just take some paint and create the ghost face. But I'm going to use my Cricut Joy, and I am picking my font, and I used BFC Sunshine marker, and I typed out my bottle of booze, and then I'm going to pick a ghost face and get that all set up, and I will set these to the measurements that I have for my bottle. Now, if you don't have this kind of bottle, you could really use any kind of bottle, even a soda bottle if you wanted. And we're going to go ahead and get those cut out. Now, to prepare your bottle after you get all the sticky stuff off, I did take some rubbing alcohol and cleaned the bottle really well with that. That helps the paint stick. Now, I use chalk paint, but you could use spray paint if that's what you had around. Now I'm getting ready to put on my vinyl pieces. I am weeding out the little eyeballs, and then I will weed out the letters, the B and the O's on the other piece. And then I use clear contact paper from Dollar Tree for these quick little projects, especially when I'm worried about the paint coming off, because it's really good about not taking paint off because it's not especially sticky, but you have to take a little bit of extra time getting your vinyl off the carrier sheet onto the contact paper, but well worth it for not having to touch up the paint on the bottle. Now I got my face all done, and we will get that set on there, and then I will go ahead and get my bottle of booze on there. And once I've got that done, I thought it needed just a little bit of something else, so I grabbed a little bit of this ribbon that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby and tied it on there, and this project is complete. I think it is so adorable. Now, if you want to make sure that your paint doesn't chip from year to year, then you can go ahead and spray it with some clear acrylic spray to set your paint really well, but I did not. I kind of like that chippy little look. I just wanted to step out of the video for a second and say thank you to all of you who are watching. Whether you're a subscriber or whether you're not, I am honored to have you here. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much. I appreciate your support week after week. And if you're not a subscriber, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to it. And that will bring us to project number 2. This is my husband's favorite, and he said I needed to make him one of his own. I took this little Frankenstein kit that you can get at the Dollar Tree. It's with their Halloween stuff, and it's actually to put on a wreath. But I am going to take this little pumpkin I got from the Dollar Tree, and I found one that was not a solid piece. It was set up like a little dish kind of thing, and I painted it black. Now, if you can find one of these that is already black and comes apart like that, all the better. Trimmed off all the little ribbons, and I'll set those aside. We are going to use a couple of those. And then I have this little piece of scrap black felt left over and from some other projects. And now I am going to take my scissors and snip out a little bit of that seam in there so we can fix the stuffing. Now my stuffing for today is actually an old pillow, and I'm just going to take the stuffing right out of that pillow and put him into Frankenstein's head, just enough to give him a little bit more stability. And then I'm going to grab a skewer from the barbecue section and trim that down just a little bit after I use some fabric glue to glue the head back together. You could use hot glue instead of the fabric glue, hot glue, if that's what you have around. Now these little plastic pieces are the inserts from the little baby socks they have at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using them to make our feet a little bit more stable. Now they're a little bit too big, so I'm going to take my scissors and just trim down the front of it a little bit. And I stretched the seam off the back side so I could fit it in there. Then I got our form all in there, and I'm going to take some hot glue and glue the seam back together, attaching it to these plastic little inserts. If you don't have the plastic little inserts, you could always use more pillow fiber or some kind of other stuffing, beans, popcorn, whatever you happen to have around to give those feet a little bit more stability. Then I'll close up the front of this just a little bit with a little bit more hot glue, and that will complete shoe number 1. And I did that to shoe number 2 as well. The next thing I'm going to do is to separate the legs from each other and glue that seam back together. Then I will add a little bit more stuffing and then glue the shoe onto the leg. I did release that seam there as well so that I could fit it in there and get a tight bond. Through this video, I'm using the hot glue and the hot fabric glue kind of interchangeably in the different spots as I needed. Once you've got the leg attached to the shoe, then you'll do the other one. Then we are going to take one of those pieces of ribbon we cut off earlier, and we are going to make it into a little shoestring bow to add onto his shoe. Now, before I glue this onto the shoe, I'm going to trim it down, but I'm also going to take a black Sharpie marker and give that top of the shoe, where you can kind of see that plastic, a little bit of color. You could use black paint or just leave it the way it is. Totally up to you. I don't know if you guys caught it, but last week was our 1-year anniversary, and I am just so excited to hang out with you guys week after week. I believe this makes video number 54. Once we've gotten that done, we're going to take a couple of those scrap pieces of felt, and here I've got my hot fabric glue, and I am going to glue that into a little tube, and we're going to use this for Frankenstein's little arm. So take your pair of scissors and trim off that seam down at the bottom of the hand. Then we will add a little bit of stuffing to the hand as well as to that little tube to create the arm and hand combination that we will be attaching to our little Frankenstein candy dish. In case I didn't say that before, that's why I wanted to find a pumpkin that came apart. Now, if you don't want a candy dish, you don't have to have your pumpkin come apart. I used a little bit more of that skewer inside of his arm, but I'm going to change that out after a minute. Once we've gotten the stuffing all situated, we're going to add some glue in there and glue the little arm tube onto the hand and get that all ready to go. I have some of this heavy duty, I want to say it's 16 gauge wire that I bought at Walmart in a huge roll, and I use it in lots of things. It's lasted a very long time. We're going to use this inside the arms and the hands as well as inside the legs so that we can bend our little Frankenstein. And once we get it in there, We're going to add a little bit of glue onto the end that will help secure that wire as well as close up the edge. Now, once I've got this attached to Frankenstein, I'm also going to glue those arms directly to that pumpkin and give it more stability. Then the arms can go in any kind of direction I want, and I loved that. So here we're going to trim off the seam at the top of his legs and add some wire in there too. That will allow us to go ahead and attach the legs to the bottom of this pumpkin body and make them all secure. Then we're going to add some glue just like we did on the arms to attach those legs directly to the pumpkin base. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and trim off those wires, and he is complete. Isn't he so adorable? I love this so much, and my grandkids love the candy. See how easy his lid goes back onto his bottom? So cute. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. That brings us to a new segment in our video, and that is our subscriber spotlight. Check out Carrie's recreation of the witch hat. Isn't it adorable? And that will bring us to project number 3. I think this one's my favorite. I didn't have a wooden circle to use as the base, so I found this flower and took off the petals. Then I sanded it down to a round circle base. Once I've gotten that done, I am going to paint the base with this, it's spring green color. I was looking for something along the bright green to neon green for this particular project, and we'll also paint the wood bead that same color. That'll be used for his head. Then we have our wooden spool body that we're going to paint black, and I have some of these tinselly looking pipe cleaners that we are going to cut into arm sizes and make a little ball at the end for the cute little hand. We're also going to use up that entire pipe cleaner making some other pieces for this project. But the next thing we're going to do is to cut out a hat for our little gentleman there, and I just used a scrap piece of cardstock that I had sitting in my craft supply box, and I cut out the square, and then we're going to round this around to a little cone hat. I've got the cone hat all trimmed up the way I want it. I'll add a little bit of glue on there and make sure that it's going to fit on top of our bead head, and then finish out the glue on the top of that hat. Then we're going to take another little square piece and we're going to cut it into a circle, and we are going to use that as a base for our little wood round. Now I've got some more of that 16 gauge wire that we used in the last project that I am going to be using for our little gentleman's legs. So I trimmed down a piece and then cut it in half, making sure that they were the same length. I trimmed it off just a little bit more. Then I am going to take some craft glue and glue our little scrap piece of cardstock there onto our base. Now I am going to take some more of that pipe cleaner and I am going to wrap it around our little wire legs. Once I've got that done, I'm going to add some of this black and white baker's twine that I bought at the Dollar Tree, just to give it a little bit more cohesiveness between all the black and white colors in our craft. And we're going to be doing that to both legs, and I'll secure that down with a little dab of hot glue and do both legs. And I think I've said and maybe 6 times in the last 2 seconds. So let's see if we can find another word to use. Once I've got both legs done, I will also add a little bit of that baker's twine onto his arms just to bring it into a cohesive little body Then I am going to use up a little bit more of that and wrap it around the base of his head. And the last piece of it, we are going to roll up into a little pom-pom and use it as the hat topper for our little gentleman. I called him Skelly. And he will be going to my daughter's classroom. Now, somewhere in here, I forgot to hit record on our video, so I took some black paint markers and drew on a smile and a couple of little eyeballs, and then I took this white paint marker that I bought at the Dollar Tree and I added little highlights to his eyes and mouth, and then drew on a little skeleton body onto the spool. Then we're going to glue him all together. I just think that he is the most precious and so simple, and just leftover pieces and parts. I glued on his legs inside the little spool, so then I didn't have to drill holes. Now we're going to take a little bit of that baker's twine and some of this ribbon that I bought at the Dollar Tree, and I am going to make it into a little boob banner. So you'll trim those off kind of dovetail shape, and then I'm going to use my lighter to just sear off those edges, make sure it doesn't run. And my ultrafine Sharpie marker will write the letters B-O-O, and then we will glue that directly onto that baker's twine, then glue the baker's twine to his hands, and he will be complete. I just think he's the most adorable thing I've ever seen. I might have to come up with something like him for maybe Christmas. Ideas are swimming. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And here he is, all completed. Look at that little skelly face. Oh, so cute. And that will bring us to project number 4. Look at this little witch. Oh, isn't she sweet? So I found this paperback book that was going to be recycled, and ripped off the back and the extra pages that were loose, and then went to about page 200 in the book and tore it in half. My granddaughter saw one of my other book page projects and gave me the yeah, you cut the book. And I had to tell her, you know, sometimes they're just not useful, so you make them into something else. That's called upcycling, yes? So you'll see we are going to fold these pages over, and I'm going to do several of these. We folded it from the top down and then from the bottom up, and then from corner to corner, but I had that little piece down at the bottom and I knew it wasn't going to sit flat. And so each piece, in order to make this particular book work, I had to take that away from the spine and pull it up and pull it under. So I'm going to do several of these pages for you. So we're going to fold it from the top down and then fold it from the bottom up, meeting that other seam, and then we're going to tear off that little end and fold that over, and then bring it corner to corner into a triangle, being very careful at the top so that we don't separate off all those pages. And so we're going to do another one, and then you make sure they're good and secure. So fold it over from the top down, fold it up from the bottom to meet that seam, tear off that little piece there so that it has a flat bottom, and then bring it corner to corner. So we're going to do that for all the pages that I've trimmed off. I went to page 200, so if they're double-sided, then it's 100 pages. And so just sit back and watch your Netflix and move forward. But I did do several pages at a time, so that way it just kind of made it quicker. And once it's all done, I made sure it was flat on the bottom. I did have to do just a teeny bit of trimming. Then I made sure all the pieces were flowing outward. Now we're going to find a head. I have a ping pong ball, and I have some styrofoam balls, whichever works for you. And then I had some muslin and a ripped up pantyhose to to cover up that styrofoam or the ping pong ball. Then we're going to take some of this leftover broom that I used in a different project on a different video, and we're going to tie that onto a piece of stick to make our little broom for this witch. And then we're going to move on to the next pieces. So we're going to do all the pieces for assembly, then we will put it all together. So once we've got the broom all done and that twine trimmed up, we'll trim up the bottom of the broom pieces. Then we're going to take our ping pong ball and our nylon stocking. We're going to glue the nylon stocking onto the ping pong ball bottom, and then we are going to knot at the top. Now the knot serves two purposes. It brings it all nice and taut, but it also will be what goes underneath our hat. So we're going to take some of those leftover pieces of book page and make some patterns. So this one we are going to fold over and then fold over again and trim, and then trim it again to make our cone hat. Once we've gotten the right size there for our head, I'm going to trim off just a little bit more. I didn't need all that because we're going to cut this out of scrap black felt fabric that we have laying next to us. Then we're going to take this and we're going to make a diagonal cut, diagonal fold corner to corner. Then we're going to roll it over a couple of times, and this will be her arms. And then we're going to take one more piece and we're going to fold it in half lengthways and lengthways again and make a diagonal cut, and that will be her little scarf that goes around her jacket, a jacket scarf that goes around her and holds her arms in place. Then we're going to take that baker's twine roll, and that will be used as kind of our pattern for the hat base. Trim that all up. Once we've got that done, we'll fold it in half and make a little snip, and fold it in half again, make one more little snip. That will be how it sets on her head. Then we'll take our other pattern that we made and we will cut that out of our felt fabric, and then we'll glue our cone together. And I am just using hot glue on this. Once we've gotten that glued, we will decorate her hat. So I pulled out some stickers I had from Dollar Tree, and I picked a green color since I'm going to use green on some other places on our little witch. And we're just going to use a dab of hot glue to glue those on there. The little sticky base on the back side doesn't work too well on that felt for staying in place. Then we'll glue on our base to our top. We'll glue on the base to the head. Then we're going to take this sparkly green pipe cleaner, and we are going to cut 6 of those in half. Then we're going to take our paintbrush and wrap it around to make little curly cues. This will be used for her hair. Once we've gotten all the curly cues done, then we will glue them onto her head and her hat and get all that situated for our beautiful green locks. Then we're going to cut a little collar to secure her head down to the base. Then I took some more of those that little piece of pipe cleaner and glued it onto the base of her hat, kind of tying in all the different pieces together. Once I've got that done, I will be adding a few jewels onto her little neck collar, making it kind of a necklace. Then we'll glue the neck collar onto the head, and once it's all decorated, onto the body. Set that aside for now, and we are going to cut out her little shawl. And I just used our pattern there and cut it out. Then I'm going to take some fabric glue, or maybe it was some hot glue, and we'll make her some little rolled up her sleeves there, just so that it gives it that kind of shawl coat appearance. Once that's done, we'll set that aside, and then I am going to take some spring paint and this violet color and just give it a quick brushing over the whole base that will be her dress, and another quick brushing over the piece that we've made her arms. Then we're going to assemble her together. Put some hot glue onto that collar, a little bit of hot glue onto the center of her arms, because you don't want all of her arms to be glued in there. We want them to be able to move around. Then we're going to add a dab onto the corners of the shawl so that we can wrap it around her. A few dabs of glue onto her little hands and onto the broom, and she is complete. I think she is so sweet. Look at how she sparkles. Isn't she so cute? Let me know in the comments below. I've seen this done for Christmas trees, but never for a witch. And that will bring us to our final project, project number 5. This one is made out of an almond milk container. And this one is going to be almost all recycled or scrap. So we are painting our almond milk container black. Then I'm going to use my utility knife to cut out a door. And the cool thing about it is, since this is a haunted house, things don't have to be perfectly straight or perfectly perfect, because it's a falling down haunted house. So it gives you the liberty of being super creative. Now, I can't hardly draw a line with a straight ruler, so I'm not sure how I thought I was going to cut a line with a straight ruler. But here we are. I'm going to use that utility knife, and I kind of broke this window off a little bit. But again, it doesn't matter. It's a haunted house, so all things go. Now, probably in hindsight, I would have cut out all the doors and windows that I did cut out on this before I painted it, because I did have to go back in and do a little bit of touch-up paint everywhere. But I just added in windows where I thought I want them, and cut out the door and made it big enough that I can add a little battery operated tea light in there and give it some cute spookiness once it's all completed. And once we have all the windows and everything cut out, then I will start cutting out some little shutters. Now I'm going to make the shutters out of a scrap piece of cardboard that I had that I use to paint on. So once we've gotten this all done, we're going to cut out that scrap cardboard into shutters for all of the windows. Then I will paint those black, and I'll take a little paint marker. Now I have a metallic paint marker that I bought on clearance. I want to say it was at Michael's. And I'm going to use that metallic paint marker to decorate around the door and to decorate our little shutters, just little dots and lines. And I put on 123 Boo Street. Then we will glue those on and go on to the next part of our decor. Now, the cool thing about this haunted house is you can decorate it any kind of way you want to. And had I thought about it, I had some scrap metal bats that I cut off a project that I made for Christmas in July. I would have hung those from the rafters in some sort of form or fashion, but I hadn't thought about that until after the video was already completed. So I'm going to take some scrap pieces of wood. I think these are leftover pieces I've cut from craft sticks, and we are going to give them a little wet brown paint and then a little wet silver lining gray paint and kind of weather them. And we're going to put those all over our windows, board those up. Then we'll take a few more scrap pieces and we're going to make them into a little fence. And I drew on some little bricks onto the front and the back, and gave it a little bit of character there. Again, you can decorate it any kind of way you want. So here's some more scrap wood, and you can see I have a little tiny tote of scrap wood pieces that I save so that I can use them for projects just like this. Once I've got them all cut into the fence shape that I want, then I'll paint them that same brown and gray color to give them that weathered wood look, and I'll get them all glued on. Once we've gotten that done, I am going to take some more of this leftover cardboard, and we are going to cut out some ghosts and a pumpkin and get those painted, and my project is complete. You guys can continue to decorate it any kind of way you want. Let's finish up our pumpkin by giving it a little bit of brown dimension and then glue that on. Then we'll take a little tea light, battery operated tea light. You don't want to put a real one in there. And we will slide that through the door, and this project is complete. Isn't this so stinking cute? What an adorable way to recycle an almond milk jug, jar, box, carton, container, whatever it is. Here it is, all lit up with the lights all off, and isn't it adorable? I just love the way those little tea lights flicker and look so realistic. Here is one last look at all of today's projects. Comment below and let me know which one is your favorite. I'm sure you did notice I did not make the terracotta pot and leaf craft that I promised from last week, but you will see it next week. And next week it's going to be our last week of fall before we start off into our Christmas decor. If you have any ideas for projects, let me know in the comments below. Today's idea of making projects using recycled items came from one of my sister-in-laws, so I'd love to hear what ideas you might have. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, since you stuck around until the very end, I have a hint on one of next week's projects. You will need either some of these little people pegs or an old-timey clothespin, or I think they have those little snowman figurines, the wooden ones out at Hobby Lobby that you can get for 50% off. And you'll also need some black and white felt. But until then, make it a great day and Happy Tuesday!